Eagle 95.1, WUPN, Paradise, Sault Ste. Marie.
It's time for The Game. Eagle 95.1 proudly brings you The Game, the Twin Sault's only regional and national sports show. For the next hour, we'll get an in-depth look at sports in the Eastern Upper Peninsula and Algoma region and hear from coaches and players involved in The Game. Now, let's join Scott Nason at the Wicked Sister on Ashman Street in downtown Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan, for tonight's broadcast of The Game on Eagle 95.1.
Time to play the game. Time to play the game. It's all about the game and how you play it. All about control, and if you can take it, all about your debt. And if you can pay it, it's all about pay. Who's gonna make it?
Greetings and salutations and welcome to The Game on Eagle 95.1. Also online at EagleRadio951.com and podcast at thegamesportshow.com. Scott Nason broadcasting from the Wicked Sister on Ashman Street on this Monday night, January 28th, 2019, on a brutally frigid, cold Monday. Schools canceled. Lots of places closed, but we're not closed here at the Wicked Sister, so come on down and join us here at the Wicked Sister. Lots going on this week. Of course, I-500 week. They definitely got their weather. They wanted snow. They got cold weather. They got both. And coming up on Thursday at the Wicked Sister, the pub crawl. As well, other events going on in February. The Old Nation Tap Takeover, will be on February 7th. And the Wicked Sister is starting their Sunday brunch February 10th at noon. Our broadcast engineer, Trent Raymond, back in the Eagle 95.1 studios, and we are joined here at the Wicked Sister by Eagle 95.1's own Katie Wollan. Joining us here, fighting the elements to get here. Katie, thanks for joining us.
I'm excited to be here, Scott, even on this very cold day. I'm excited that you kept this going, so I appreciate that. I'm sure the listeners do as well.
Well, I appreciate that, Katie. And again, we're under a winter weather advisory tonight. Snow not real heavy in the Soo. I know it's a little heavier down south, but the roads are still slick. And before we start the show, Katie, want to give a shout out. And we only hear a lot of times when the roads aren't plowed, but I want to give a shout out to the city and county workers that are working their butts off right now to keep the streets plowed. It's not easy keeping up with all this snow, and those guys and gals have done a great job. And so kudos to the road cleanup crews. Always tough. So I like to give kudos rather than, a group that usually just hears the complaints.
Yeah, Scott, I couldn't agree more. I mean, that is something great, and it's unrecognizable. A lot of people don't really, think, oh, well, how does this even? I mean, they know how it gets done, but at the end of the day, you have to be grateful that it's getting done.
Yeah, and also drive with caution tonight. As I mentioned, it's a little slick out there, and if you have any open windows at home, make sure you shut them. That does not bode well if you leave windows open.
Actually, I have a little side comment on that. My mom, the door is a great door. It's closed and everything, but you know how the air will come out from underneath. So she put toilet paper, big toilet paper rolls up against it, in the package, not single toilet papers. But yeah, it's actually working, she said.
Why do we live here again?
I don't know.
Sometimes I wonder when we have a weekend this cold, but we love it up here and want to welcome everybody in town for the I-500 going on Saturday. Let's get to the local sports. Katie, guest lineup tonight, kind of unsure how our lineup will be, so we're just going to roll with the punches. Yeah. And if people show up, call in, great. If not, we can cover that too. So let's start off with high school basketball from this past week, starting on Monday night in boys basketball. Engadine over Munising by the score of 77-70. St. Ignace falls on Monday night in boys basketball to Harbor Springs by the score of 69-29. Monday night girls basketball, one game, Cedarville over Hillman by the score of 65-53. Tuesday night, we had some weather cancellations involving Newberry, Cedarville, and Detour in boys basketball. The Soo Blue Devil boys basketball team did get a makeup game in They traveled to Alpena and fell to the Wildcats by the score of 74-45. In the game you heard on Eagle 95.1 and online at EagleRadio951.com with yours truly, Katie Wollan. The St. Ignace Saints in girls basketball topped the Brimley Bays by the score of 85-19. Brimley falls to 9-3 with the loss. St. Ignace improved to 11-0. Katie, you did that game, and Brimley's had a great season. And
they have.
Anytime you play St. Ignace, it's tough. And what are your thoughts on this St. Ignace team this year? They're undefeated. They went down to Detroit and beat some really good teams down there. Are they a contender for another state title?
Oh yeah, to answer that, of course, no doubt in my mind. I'm actually really excited when I found out that they had those Detroit teams on their schedules because, they really needed that because them being so dominant up here in the EUP, they needed that little extra competition. And the Brimley game and the St. Ignace game, I guess I was I wouldn't say blind going into it, but I knew I knew St. Ignace would be doing a great job, but I didn't think it was going to be that big of a gap. But, you got to give it to Matt Bathy and his team. They really did work hard. They were just gassed, and they just could not keep up with the St. Ignace Saints team, the Lady Saints.
Now, Katie, you played against St. Ignace a few years ago, not that many, but a few, and it's one of those games where you're almost full of intimidation before you even get on the court. I mean, St. Ignace, you go into the gym, especially when you play down there, you see the banners up there, 5 state titles in the past, 20 years, if not less. Is it something that as a player, even though, you played for a very good Sioux team, the intimidation factor has to be there, especially for a young team like Brimley.
Exactly. It's always there. Just like you said, Scott, consistently them, being a great team year after year, even if they might not make the state finals every year, they're still consistently so dominant in the EUP. And I think every team up here is, a little scared, and they probably don't want to admit that, but I guarantee they are, because back in 2012, when I'm up against Nicole Emblad, who went to the Michigan Wolverines.
And started.
And and was their best player, one of the best players, started as a freshman and everything, it's just, you are definitely intimidated, and I agree, yeah.
And knowing Doug and Doreen Ingalls quite a bit in this profession and others, I never forget Doug telling me a story about a transfer student that came in to St. Ignace a few years ago, and she was complaining about the practice schedule, having to come in so early, and Coach Ingalls didn't say a word. All he did was point at the banners and said, that's why. And when you win championships and you build a program, that's what happens, and I'm a firm believer that it can be done in other areas. St. Ignace, while they do a great job with their athletes, I think it can be done in other places and programs, and we've seen that over. But, what does St. Ignace do so well year after year to get these girls teams competing for state titles? It seems like every year. What's the magic formula, Katie?
I think we all wish we could know the magic formula, Scott, and the answer to that. But I guess the most simple answer I could think of is just what you said, what they've built from the ground up. It's Doreen and Doug Ingalls. They've been with the program for so many years. I don't even know how many years. Probably
a long time.
10, 15
about
years.
20, I think,
20
overall.
years.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so just like you said, they have built this program, and they're very consistent with it. They know how to coach. They know what needs to be done. They know how to prep those girls when they're younger, when they get brought up to varsity, and they're just great at it. And it's consistent.
And they're involved at the lower levels as well.
Exactly.
Elementary school on. That 7th grade team.
And that's what does it right there.
Exactly. That 7th grade team, Doug and Doreen's son plays on that. Watch out, St. Ignace. Boys basketball a little down right now, but over the next few years, you're going to see that improve. Other games on Tuesday night in girls basketball. Sioux High with another victory over Petoskey. Beat them twice this year by the score of 45-33. And Detour over Maplewood Baptist, 30-22. That one in girls basketball. Thursday night girls basketball. Weather kind of kept us away from Engadine. Katie, we were slated to cover that game, but Luce County was under a winter storm warning, and that trip coming back is horrendous, and so we weren't able to make it. But Brimley improves to 10-3 on the season. Mm-hmm. A closer game maybe than many would have thought, as they defeat Engadine by the score of 62-55. Engadine still winless on the season, but anytime you go down there, you got to show up every night. Brimley 10-3, but a close victory. You got to be happy with where Brimley is right now at 10-3. After last season not doing as well on the court, Coach Matt Bathy has those girls playing hard.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. Matt, he's done a great transformation with the girls. He's putting them in positions that make them successful. He knows their weaknesses, he knows their strengths, and whatever their strengths are, he is using those. And he's also, implementing defense. He's added that full court press in. I don't think that they did much of a full court press last year, and I think that's definitely helping them, keeping them well conditioned. And just even though I didn't get a chance to do the Engadine Brimley game, I'm sure Brimley, if I were to talk to Matt after the game, I'm sure he would have been, disappointed isn't the word I'm looking for, but he wouldn't have been as happy. But that Engadine team, even though, like you said, they haven't won a game yet in regular season play, that's their gym.
Yeah.
When they're in Engadine, when they are contenders in Engadine, both the men's team and the women's team there. And, it's a small community, and they are all out there cheering them on. And
that's where districts are for the girls this year in Engadine. Other games on Thursday, I mentioned the Brimley Bays. We have 2 broadcasts this week on Eagle 95.1 and online at eagleradio951.com. I'll be out in Brimley tomorrow night, weather permitting, assuming the games are still on, as the Brimley Bays will take on the Cedarville Trojans, and then Todd Olmsted will have the call Thursday night, where the Brimley Bays will take on Rudyard. And, this EUP conference is still up for grabs, Katie. Cedarville, Brimley, Pickford, all really in the mix. And, that would be what a cap in the feather of the Brimley Bays girls team if they could win a conference title. We talk a lot about the boys who are in good position to win their first conference title since 2006, but the girls, they're right in the mix as well.
Yeah, I mean, the last time I checked, Scott, you would have the updated information, but Cedarville was ranked number 1 in the conference, and then I believe it was Pickford and then Brimley.
Yeah, and Rudyard's in the mix too.
And Rudyard too, yeah. So it's just a matter of just one game will determine, who's going to be, top dog in the conference. And then, of course, they have to compete once that district happens.
Other games on Thursday night in girls basketball, Sioux High all over Sheboygan by the score of 65-22. Ashton Bell had 12 points for the Blue Devils, who will host Rudyard on Tuesday night. Mentioned Engadine in girls basketball. They're 0-11. They host Mid-Penn tonight. We'll be at Cedarville on Thursday. St. Ignace improves to 12-0 in girls basketball this past Thursday night, and they're hooping for a Cure fundraiser to raise cancer awareness all over Cedarville by the score of 69-28. Emily Koivu had 23 points and 11 rebounds to lead the Saints. St. Ignace, they host Newberry on Tuesday and Pickford on Thursday, while Cedarville 8-4 in girls basketball. I mentioned they'll be at Brimley on Tuesday and host Engadine on Thursday. Rudyard quietly going about their business in girls basketball, 8-4 on the season, as the Bulldogs defeated Newberry by the score of 65-49. The Bulldogs now 8-4 on the season. As I mentioned, they'll be at the Sioux on Tuesday and at Brimley on Thursday, while Newberry now 6-6. They're at St. Ignace on Tuesday and Detour on Thursday. And one other girls basketball game on Thursday night, Pickford at the Purple Palace in Pickford.
Palace,
I like to say that one, Katie. They defeat Detour by the score of 63-38. So Pickford now 8-3 on the season. They are at St. Ignace on Thursday, while Detour 4-7 on the year. They host Newberry on Tuesday. Boys basketball from Friday night. We were covering Sioux High hockey, so we were unable to broadcast the big game in Brimley. And this was a big one, Katie, as Brimley over Engadine by the score of 79-67. Earlier in the year, you did that game with Todd Olmsted, and it was a blowout. But we kind of knew Engadine was going to get better.
For sure.
And they gave Brimley all they could handle on Friday. Brimley, of course, the balanced scoring attack. Marcus Harris, 17 points on Friday. Tristan Lyons, 16. Zach Rose, 14. Dylan Carrick, 14. As the Bays now 14-0 on the season, 9-0 in the EUP conference. They need just 2 wins in their final 3 conference games to clinch their first conference championship, since 2006. Andrew Blanchard had 24 for Engadine, who fell to 9-4. Brimley is at Rudyard on Friday night, while Engadine is at Big Bay Denock on Tuesday and Cedarville on Friday. Katie, you and I have both had a chance to see this boys team. I like the fact that they were challenged a little bit on Friday night. You never want things too easy because, going into the districts, they're more than likely going to take on Engadine. You have a good Rudyard team in there as well. Your thoughts on this Brimley team, number 1 in the state in Division 4. What do you think of them so far?
Well, I'm really impressed that they have that rank right now, and especially up here, we're all very excited for both Brimley and then also to add into the St. Ignace girls in the EUP. You have two teams that are, undefeated, and it's great basketball. It's great entertainment. It's like what the EUP, we love watching these games and we love tuning in. And the Brimley Engadine game, yes, Todd and I called that, and like you said, it was a blowout, but it was like a 70 to 100 point game. So 30 points, but there wasn't really any defense going on. So both that being like their second or first game of the season, now a month down the road, they're both, more, I would say they're smarter. They know what to expect. They already had faced each other. And Engadine Blanchard, I've heard a lot about him, and no surprise that he had, 24 points, he said, for that game, and definitely made Brimley work for it, but very happy for the Brimley Bays to come out with that win and keep their undefeated streak.
Yeah, they're doing well, and we'll be covering Brimley Bays basketball all season long on Eagle 95.1. Rudyard and boys basketball on Friday night. They improved to 5-5 on the season as they defeat Newberry by the score of 84-67. The Bulldogs will be at Sioux High on Wednesday and host Brimley on Friday, while Newberry struggling a bit at 2-9. They're at St. Ignace on Tuesday and host Detour on Thursday. Cedarville over St. Ignace in boys basketball Friday night by the score of 73-43. Cedarville now 8-5 on the season. They are at Engadine on Friday, while St. Ignace struggling at 1-11. They host Newberry on Tuesday and Pickford on Thursday. Pickford, speaking of the Panthers, improves to 5-5 on the season as they defeat Detour in Detour by the score of 54-43. The Panthers, they host Indian River Inland Lakes on Tuesday and St. Ignace on Thursday, while Detour, now 6-6 on the season, they're at Mackinac City on Wednesday and Newberry on Friday. Sioux High boys basketball, a couple losses over the weekend. They fall at Sheboygan by the score of 53-50, and then they lose at Escanaba on Saturday by the score of 73-40. Now, the Blue Devils were slated to be home against Petoskey, but with the school cancellation and the problems that happened at Sioux Area High School, I did make a little light of open windows, but a serious situation. They had some pipes burst at Sioux High, and so they are closed until Thursday.
Oh,
they're
wow.
closed,
I didn't
tomorrow
even know that.
And Wednesday, and I believe they're going to be playing some of the basketball games at the middle school. Again, that's unofficial. That's what I hear.
Mm-hmm.
But I also hear other things, so we won't go official there. So hopefully they can get that situation rectified, if you will. We're going to take our first break on the game. We come back, we're going to get the world of hockey covered. Lots to talk about, including the Sioux High Blue Devils home weekend at the Big Bear Arena. Also talk about the Sioux Eagles and Sioux Thunderbirds and Sioux Greyhounds, all with pretty successful weekends. We'll also talk Laker basketball, and then we'll have our guest from the Laker track and field team around 6:30. That's coming up here on the game on Eagle 95.1.
Get Wicked Catering from the crew at the Wicked Sister.
We like to think of ourselves as foodies. While our favorite foods are paired with a beer tasting at the Wicked Sister, you can now have the same creative menu for your next catered business luncheon, family get-together, wedding, or holiday party. Our white truffle risotto appeals to your gluten-free and vegetarian guests. Add sautéed shrimp or freshly grilled chicken for a pop of protein. Or let us build you a custom menu to suit your needs. From plated events of 15 to buffets for 200, the Wicked Sister will cater your event with tapas, snacks, cravables, or a full sit-down dinner.
The Wicked Sister, where you'll be treated like family, whether you like it or not.
The Game Sports Show would like to thank an additional sponsor and additional home to the Game Sports Show, Sports Center Bar and Grill. Sports Center Bar and Grill, located on 624 Wellington Street West, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Sports Center rated top sports bar for the second year in a row. At Sports Center, enjoy their famous 75-cent wing night along with delicious Molson products on tap, along with a great atmosphere and other great food options available as well. Sports Center Bar and Grill, the Sioux's best sports bar.
Scott Nason back at the Wicked Sister on Ashman Street on this Monday night. Temperatures brutally cold, still -8 degrees. The snow has picked up, so again, if you're out and about, please take a little extra time getting to your destination. The roads are ice covered. The plow folks have done a great job trying to keep them clear, trying to get salt and sand and everything else. But when it's -8 and there's snow, always hard to do. We're going to be talking Laker Track and Field coming up at 6:30 with a couple of their women's athletes, Riley Collins and Ashley Mullings. But we have a lot of hockey to talk about here in this segment. So let's start with the Sault Ste. Blue Devils as they were in action at the Big Bear Arena this weekend in the Cooper Dental Showcase. And, well, it wasn't a great weekend on the ice for the Hockey Devils. They were beaten soundly on Friday night by Grosse Pointe South by the score of 10-2. A game that we broadcast. I had a chance to broadcast my first Sault High game on Eagle 95.1 along with Clayton Ellis. You can hear the podcast of that broadcast at the GameSportsShow.podbean.com or the GameSportsShow.com. The effort was not quite there for the Sault Ste. Blue Devils in the first two periods, but there were some moves made between periods, and the Blue Devils played a little bit better, at least in that third period. The effort was there, but it's been a tough season for the Hockey Devils, no question about that. And then on Saturday afternoon, Tim and Mike Ellis had the call, and it was Port Huron Northern giving the Blue Devils their 9th straight loss on Saturday as they fell by the score of 2-0. So Sault High right now, 5-14-1 on the season, and they're off for quite some time, a couple weeks actually, as their next action will be their home finale on February 12th as they host the Traverse City Reps on Parents' Night at the Big Bear Arena. You can hear that game and all Sault Ste. Blue Devil hockey games on your home for the Hockey Devils, Eagle 95.1. Let's move on to the Northern Ontario Junior Hockey League. A great weekend for both the Sioux Thunderbirds and the Sioux Eagles. Let's start on Tuesday night. This past Tuesday, the Sioux Thunderbirds all over Elliott Lake by the score of 5-3 as Brady Caruso's third goal of the season was the difference. Camden Finley had a pair of goals for the Thunderbirds, along with Nick Smith and Brendan Miller for the T-Birds. The Sioux Eagles at Rayside Balfour on Thursday night, a place they hadn't really had much success this year. Well, they had success on Thursday night. They took a 4-1 lead into the third period and hung on for a 4-3 victory over the Rayside Balfour Canadians. Charlie Hanwall had a pair of goals, including the eventual game winner for the Eagles. George Orfanos and Raf Preisner scored the other goals, while Shane Brancato made 39 saves in net for the victory. Eagles were in action on Friday night as well at Espanola. This is a team that has given the Eagles fits. They are not quite their last place standing, at least as the way they play against the Sioux Eagles, and the Eagles hung on, keeping their unbeaten in regulation streak intact, now 7 games, as they defeated Espanola on Friday night by the score of 6-5. Owen Shire had a pair of goals for the Eagles, while Hayden Clark, Kobe Keller, Nathan Solis, and Riley Jensen had the other goals. And it was just announced this afternoon that one of the Sioux Eagles players was named NOJHL Player of the Week. Shane Brancato, goaltender for the Sioux Eagles, saw action twice, leading the Eagles to a pair of road wins, as he made a season-high 39 stops against Rayside Balfour and then entered in relief on Saturday to give the Eagles the victory. So the Eagles now 21-19, 2-1, getting closer to third place, just 3 points behind Blind River, and they will be at Blind River on Thursday and Elliott Lake on Friday. So they have a bit of a cushion over Elliott Lake for that 4th spot, but the Eagles want to get up to that 3rd spot, possibly 2nd, because you want to avoid that first round best-of-3 series against Elliott Lake. No question about that. The Sioux Thunderbirds were in action over the weekend. We mentioned the game on Tuesday. They would also be in action on Sunday and win their 8th straight over Elliott Lake by the score of 6-1. So the Thunderbirds right now 34-9-0-1, best in the NOJHL by 10 points. They lead Rayside by 15 points in the West Division. Lucas Terrio had a pair of goals for the Thunderbirds, his 29th and 30th goal of the year in the victory for the Sioux Thunderbirds. So the Thunderbirds now, they're idle next week, and their next game will be at Blind River on Monday night. Sioux Greyhounds in action this week at home as they would take on the Peterborough Petes on Saturday, and they would roll over the Petes by the score of 8-2. Morgan Frost, he netted his 100th goal as a Greyhound, and Matthew Villalta made 23 saves in net for the Hounds. The Hounds would get a point last yesterday afternoon, but they would fall to Kitchener in overtime by the score of 4-3, as Rory Cairns, Ryan O'Rourke, and Mac Hollowell had the goals for the Hounds. Hounds right now 4 points ahead of Saginaw in first place in the West Division, and they're just 4 points behind London in the Western Conference. They're going to head out on a long road trip this week. They will be at Niagara on Thursday, Erie on Friday, and Oshawa on Sunday. So the Hounds keep on rolling. A record of 31-10-5-1. They didn't make any major moves at the trade deadline. They didn't buy, they didn't sell, they stood put. And well, right now, that seems to be a pretty good decision the way they're playing after the deadline. Laker hockey at home this weekend would split against Bemidji State. They would win on Friday night, defeating the Beavers by the score of 5-2. Max Hummets with a couple of goals for the Lakers. Nick Kossoff made 32 saves in net, as the Lakers would get their 16th win of the season, which is already their most since 2013-2014. Then on Saturday, it's just not been good for the Lakers on Saturday night, especially at home, as they fall to 0-5-1 at home on Saturdays, as they defeat Bemidji they fall to Bemidji State by the score of 5-3. Here's a stat that's a head scratcher. The Lakers were 0-for-5 on the power play. No shots. I don't know how that happens, but the Lakers still having a very good season. 5th place in the WCHA with a record of 16-8-2. 1 point ahead of Bemidji, who's in 6th place, and they're only 1 point behind Northern and Michigan Tech, who are tied for 3rd. So Lakers have 8 games to play, and a couple big ones down in Big Rapids to take on Ferris State this weekend. And finally, Laker basketball on the road, as they were down at Ferris State on Saturday. The women, they fell to the Bulldogs by the score of 62-46, as redshirt freshman Sadie DeWilt and junior forward Lexi Cohn led the Lakers with 9 points each. Junior guard Jenna Gregory led the Lakers with 12 rebounds. So the Lakers now 6-12 on the season. They'll be on the road this week. They'll be down in Midland to take on Northwood. They will be also at Saginaw Valley State on Saturday. The men, a big rematch against the defending national champion Bulldogs in men's basketball, and it was all Ferris State, as they defeat the Lakers by the score of 97-76. Malik Adams, he had a career-high 30 points, but the Lakers would fall in that one. And so Lake State now 10-7 on the season. They're still in GLIAC contention as far as playoffs. They're right in the mix. They have a couple big games on the road this week. They will be at Northwood on Thursday, and then at Saginaw Valley State on Saturday. And the Laker men and women's basketball team's next home game will be on Thursday, February 7th, where they will host Wayne State. We're going to take a break here on the game. Looking outside, it doesn't look like running weather, but Lake Superior State University's track and field teams were in action this weekend down at the Grand Valley State University Open. We're going to talk to a couple of their participants of that race, those races, I should say. That's coming up next on the game here on Eagle 95.1.
Get wicked at the Wicked Sister. You'll find the best tasting food for the whole family. Start off with some appetizers like the crab dip, served with warm non-bread strips and soft pretzel bites, or their antibiotic and hormone-free boneless chicken wings with 5 choices of sauces. Entrees include the barbecue pulled pork sandwich, the #1 selling drunken cow burger, or Philly cheesesteaks, and they're on special all day Thursdays. The Wicked Sister also offers a gluten-free menu and catering. Bring the whole family. The Wicked Sister, downtown Ashman Street, open 7 days a week.
The Game Sports Show would like to thank an additional sponsor and special edition home to the game, Silver Creek Golf Course, located on 104 Bellow Lake Road, Garden River, Ontario. And also shout out thank you to Silver Creek GM Jamie Henderson. Silver Creek Golf Course has many specials to offer for 18 holes, 9 holes, and even Twilight Deal specials. It does not matter what your level of golf game is, it is a must to enjoy the scenic course, memorable experiences that Silver Golf Course offers. Silver Creek also offers a Thursday wing night for you to enjoy food after a stellar time on the course? You can book your tee time by phone or online at golfsilvercreek.com. Silver Creek Golf Course, where all are welcome to play.
The Game Sports Show is pleased to shout out a partner, additional home, and sponsor to Northern Superior Brewing Company, located on 50 Pym Street in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Northern Superior Brewing Company having a strong presence locally with many beers to offer. With much involvement in the community of Sault Ste. Marie, Northern has a sport and friendly-like atmosphere within its tap room, and during the summer months, it is a must to visit Pier 55 to enjoy some delicious food, amazing view of the water, and view of the Bush Play Museum right on the cusp of the Hub Trail, and of course, all of that down with a delicious brew from Northern Superior. Northern Superior Brewing Company. It's a Northern thing.
Back at the Wicked Sister on this snowy, cold Monday night, Scott Nason, our broadcast engineer, Trent Raymond. Thank you, each and every one of you, for joining us on this cold night as we continue the local sports. But before we do, we got to tell you what's going on here at the Wicked Sister. Lots going on over the next few weeks, including a big pub crawl going on Thursday here in downtown Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan. And then on February 7th, the Wicked Sister will be having an Old Nation tap takeover. And if you're hungry on Sundays, sometimes the breakfast places can be a little crowded, or maybe you want to try something new. Well, the Wicked Sister, they're going to have their Sunday brunch starting on February 10th at noon. So, hey, I'm hungry right now. I can't wait to get my food. We are joined here in studio, or I should say at the Wicked Sister, by a couple of the Lake Superior State University women's track and field athletes, Riley Collins and Ashley Mullings, joining us here on this cold night. Ladies, thanks for joining us and making the trip down here.
No problem.
Thank you.
Well, we were talking about the weather, and, one of these ladies is from Ann Arbor, but another one, maybe not so close to Ann Arbor, Riley? Ashley? I still getting you guys confused.
That's fine.
You're not from the state of Michigan. You're from Jamaica.
Yes, I am.
Now, I have to ask you, until you came up here, did you ever have snow there?
Never. It's not even possible.
I didn't think so.
Snow.
There's not a mountain maybe at the top where they have a little bit? Or
Not even a little bit. We're close to the equator, so getting snow is meaning the world is about to end.
So this is your second winter here, Ashley, and obviously I think this is the first winter where we've had a real winter. What's your thoughts over the last few weeks?
I've been very cold. I've just been layering up because that's all I can do, as I still have to go to classes and practice, but it's something I've never experienced before, so I'm still adjusting.
And Riley, Ann Arbor actually I think is getting more snow than we are here, but again, you're more used to this winter, but you don't really have the types of winters that you see up here.
Correct. No, I have not been able to have the experience of driving in this kind of weather, so I'm just trying to go slow.
Well, before we get to this season and your past weekend results, I want to know how each of you made the decision to come to Lake Superior State, especially Ashley, living in Jamaica, I can't imagine that, Lake Superior State had a recruiting office there, or maybe you knew a lot about it. How the heck did you end up here?
So I wanted to further my track career in college, so I decided to just email a bunch of coaches.
Okay.
I just Googled, I found Lake State, and I'm like, okay, I'll send an email. And the coach at the time responded, and he was interested, so I went further, and he made me an offer, and I accepted it.
Now, did you know there was actually an Upper Peninsula of Michigan?
I did not.
Okay.
All I knew was the state of Michigan, and I knew it was going to be cold and that there was snow, but this, not quite what I expected, but I love it here, so it's been good.
Absolutely. Riley, of course, you knew of Lake Superior State University. Tell us about your trek here.
So I originally signed to be a part of the basketball team, and then a last-minute add-on because I loved high jumping so much, I asked if I could participate in that in college also, and so I finished my freshman year on the basketball team and started after spring break last year, and I just
really fell in love with high jumping, and Coach Rob, I really built a really good connection with him, and I just felt it was the right decision.
Now, let's talk about this season. You both were down at Grand Valley State this weekend, the GVSU Open, or the Jets Pizza Invitational. I probably can't say that on here because they're not an official sponsor. But Ashley, you finished third out of 25 competitors in the long jump. You had a season best distance of 5.43 meters. You also had a personal best time of 8.22 seconds in the 60-meter dash, as you finished 16th out of 46 competitors. So a pretty good weekend for you.
Fairly good. I mean, there's always room for improvement, but getting a season best and a PR in the 60 was very great for me this weekend.
Long jump. I'm always curious on how somebody decides, you know what, I want to do the long jump. I get the short sprints, the long distance, but, you know, the field competitions like a long jump, at what point did you figure this was one I really wanted to do?
Initially, it wasn't my decision. When I started track in high school, my coach thought that I had a good physique for a jumper because I initially was a sprinter.
Okay.
So he decided to try me out in the long jump, and I've been in love with it ever since.
Excellent. Riley, you also had a nice weekend as you finished 13th out of 40 competitors in the 400-meter dash, as you had a personal best time of 1 minute 82 seconds. So tell us about your weekend.
I went into the weekend trying to stay where I was in the last meet, so I was just hopeful of keeping that 60 in my 400-meter dash and hopefully getting closer to my high school record, as that would help me get closer to our school record at Lake State. And then for high jump, I'm still attempting competitive heights in the same position of our school record and possibly reaching nationals. So I'm just trying to stay up there and keep those heights high and the speeds, you know.
Ashley Mullings and Riley Collins joining us here at the Wicked Sister on the Game as we're talking Laker women's track and field. Ashley, tell us about the coaches. We mentioned Rob Geilinger, head coach of the track team. You also have a couple of your coaches here. We interviewed them earlier in the year, Danny and Tony Filipic. Get that last name right. Yes. Tell us about them and just a lot of energy with this track and field program. You know, having Rob in and bringing these two new coaches in just seems to be a lot of energy in the program.
Definitely is. I think this year the team has really advanced, especially with the help of Coach Danny and Tony, because Coach Rob, he did an excellent job last year, but he was alone. So it was a lot of work for him to just manage the entire team, cross, distance, track, throws, jumps, all of that. It was rough for him, but he did an excellent job. But I really think this year I see way more improvement in the team. And Coach Rob, I think he's one of the best coaches I've had. He's very understanding.
Laid back.
And it's a good laid back. Like, he always knows what to say. Like, he can tell when I'm frustrated and he's like, don't worry about it. You'll get it. He's just one of those coaches that he's always just making sure that you're comfortable and ensuring that we progress as athletes each and every day.
And Riley, you know, having these new coaches in, your thoughts on just, again, a lot of just interest and energy in the program.
I think Danny and Tony have fit in really well with Coach Rob. He did an amazing job, as Ashley said, last year. But in combination, the two, I think, have been able to support more of our individual events going on, as Ashley and I are both field events, our distance, so we're more like just well spread out and having our team as a whole improve and not just individuals.
Now, Ashley, talking about practices, obviously you look outside, not ideal running weather. How often do you girls get outside to practice? Is this like weather where just absolutely not, you're not going out there, or do coaches get mad and say, get out there and run a mile? What's the practices like?
Well, fortunately for our events, we do not need to be outside. Right.
Yes.
Because we don't have a long jump pit outside, so I have no business being out there.
You wouldn't be able to find it now anyway.
Exactly. It's snow everywhere. So fortunately, we're able to train indoors. And yeah, that's what we do every single day. Indoors, sprinting, jump tech. Our practices are based indoors.
Riley, how often do you work away from practice and keeping shape? Obviously, track and field, you got to run, you got to be in good shape. Do you do things, you know, outside the traditional practice sessions?
Usually I spend a lot of time in the trainer's room. I do PT. I spend a lot of time, you know, like rolling out and doing the extra things, stretching, icing. I have that in my room. So it's important outside that we spend those hours taking care of ourselves is really what I value, so we can be competitive and work as hard as we can in practice.
Ashley Mullings and Riley Collins joining us on the game. We're going to kind of detour a little bit and ask you girls a couple personal questions, starting with you, Ashley. What is your major at Lake State? What are you interested in furthering your professional career and studies?
So my major at Lake State is biochemistry.
Oh, wow.
I'm hoping to take that further.
I can't even spell that, so I certainly wouldn't take
you.
that. Okay, your course schedule pretty rigid as far as tough?
Yes, I have a lot of hard courses this year, especially calculus, very rough, and I'm taking 18 credit hours, so it's a little hard to balance like student and athlete life, but we have to remember we're student first, then athletes after. But our coaches are very understanding in us like balancing our track schedule and our regular class schedule. So it hasn't been that hard because I've been able to keep a 3.7 GPA like so far. So it's been pretty good.
Do you feel it's an advantage for you to be at a smaller school with maybe smaller class sizes where you have professors that, kind of know who you are? I mean, it's not like you're in a seminar with 150 students. Has that been helpful for you?
It definitely has been the best thing because now I have personal relationships with my professors. They're not only just making sure that I'm staying afloat in class, they ask about my meets. They ask, how did the weekend go? And then they try their best to catch me up in class, ensure that I got all the assignments done on time. Having a small school really helps the personal relationship, and I really think it helps us succeed better as athletes.
And Riley, you both are sophomores, I believe.
Yes.
What are you taking as far as your education?
So I'm going for a Bachelor in Science with a minor in Psychology and also going into occupational therapy. Very confusing, but different field. And yeah, similar to what Ashley said, it's really Lake State is a smaller school, and actually, long story short, Ashley and I, we were lab partners last semester in our chemistry class. That was one of our harder classes that we did together. And I will say, because we were the team, we talk about it all the time at practice, and we just really helped each other through that. So having a smaller class and having athletes on different teams, I'm friends with people on the basketball team. Anyone as athletes, we kind of just have an atmosphere where we can help each other in classes, and it's really relatable and helpful.
Now, Riley, we talked before we went on the air about you being from Ann Arbor. And, of course, I made the joke. I won't hold that against you because
That's okay.
I'm not a University of Michigan fan, but I hear you're not as much.
No, I'm an Ohio State fan.
Now, how does that work? Being in Ann Arbor, rooting. See, I'm an Ohio State fan at least 1 week a year when they play Michigan in football or basketball. But how did that all? Did you have some connection to Ohio State? Must have.
Well, so my grandma went to Michigan and my grandpa went to Ohio State on my mom's side, and my mom's a fan. And I mean, technically, I'm from Manchester, which is 20 minutes outside Ann Arbor. So I go and associate when I want to go to the shopping and all of that. But then again, we're only 50 minutes from Toledo, so I do love the Ohio area.
Hasn't football been great over the past
how
many
we had some
years?
real good years.
Exactly.
I can't tell you how many Big Ten champ shirts I have.
I tell you what. Well, unfortunately, Urban Meyer retiring, but I think he'll continue as long as Jim Harbaugh's coaching that team.
Yeah,
I love it. Now, Ashley, I got to ask because I'm a big soccer guy, and being from Jamaica, I know soccer's a pretty big sport there. Are you a soccer fan?
I am.
Okay. Now, do you follow your country? Do you follow a club, or give us a little snapshot on your soccer?
I follow my country when we're playing our World Cup games or the international friendlies, but I also like Arsenal.
Oh boy, so I'm a Chelsea fan, and you guys just beat us a couple weeks ago. So
sorry.
That's all right. Hey, you could have said a lot. You could have said Manchester City.
I'm a Man United.
That one's okay too. Again, Man United's okay. Manchester City and Liverpool, those are kind of the two teams there.
Yeah.
Boy, you both like soccer. You're like my new best friends here. Ashley Mullings and Riley Collins joining us on the game. Before we let you go, ladies, Ashley, I'll go to you first. Looking at the upcoming events, you will be back in action at Grand Valley State coming up on February 8th and 9th, taking part in an invitational there. Between now and then, you had a meet. What are some of the things that you work on over the next 2 weeks to try to better yourself, your team, going into that meet?
Okay, so going into our next meet, it's one of the meets before we get into conference meets. So the goal is to work on our running form, as always, getting more jump. Well, personally, this is for me, working on my running form and my jump tech, because the goal at the end of indoor season is to go to nationals.
Sure.
But in order to get there, first we have to get a new PR for myself and the school record. So we're taking it one step at a time by working on jump stuff, all of that in order to get in shape and ready for the competition.
Riley, same question to you. What are some of the things you're going to work on over the next couple weeks before your next meet?
I will be doing the other kind of jumping. I will be jumping up, hopefully.
Oh, wow.
Ashley and I are in similar positions, and we're both at competitive heights and distances that we both just need to be practicing those and getting experience and exposure to go and actually do it in competition eventually. So we're just hoping that we can do it.
Excellent. I will say this before I let you both go. I've interviewed quite a few athletes from Lake State and such. If you guys ever have another career in broadcasting, I would give it a shot. You both are great guests. You guys,
thank you for having us.
Complete sentences and everything, and you have a great personality, and I wish you both the best of luck. Again, that's Ashley Mullings and Riley Collins joining us on the game. Ladies, be safe out there, and best of luck in a couple weeks, and maybe we'll talk to you again here on the game.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, we'll be back with more of the game here on Eagle 95.1.
The Wicked Sister, Sioux, Michigan. Check TripAdvisor, ranked right towards the top. Awarded the Certificate of Excellence, as well as voted #1 pub in the UP. The Wicked Sister has managed to create a casual menu that offers unique, creative, and sometimes healthy offerings that rivals menu selections of any big city. Burgers and starters, snacks and shareables, soups and salads, sandwiches and tapas. On Ashman Street, Sioux, Michigan. Welcome to the Wicked Sister, where you'll be treated like family, whether you like it or not.
The Game Sports Show would like to thank a list of additional sponsors. North Shore Sports and Auto, new location located on 647 McDonald Avenue, Sault Ste. Marie. A family-owned and operated business with doing business in Sault Ste. Marie for over 10 years. Loads of products available for your enjoyment for all seasons. North Shore Sports and Auto, we understand the importance of quality service and products, and we work hard to ensure that all customers have a positive experience before and after each and every sale. North Shore Sports and Auto, meeting all of your new and pre-owned equipment needs. Special thanks to Salon. The Salon, located on 589 2nd Line East, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Owned and operated by Mike Cuglietta. Book your appointment today at 705-941-9191 or via online at https://thesalonsioux.as.me-. The Salon, making the Sioux beautiful, one haircut at a time. As well as a shout out to the Superior Pro Shop. The Superior Pro Shop, located inside the Community First Credit Union Superior Arena on 285 Northern Avenue East, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Owned and operated by Jeremy Paquin and ran by Larry Monroe. Superior Pro Shop, for over 40 years, meet all of your skate sharpening, skate repair, and hockey needs. Also to Discover the Canvas. Discover the Canvas, located on 317 Wellington Street West, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. A beautiful, new renovated building owned and operated by expert artist and Sioux native Katrina Thibodeau. Katrina taking her talents of the ink in Sault Ste. Marie and truly creating the best and most realistic art locally. Call Katrina today at 705-450-8099 or email her at discoverthecanvas@gmail.com to book your tattoo or consultation today.
Scott Nason back at the Wicked Sister on Ashman Street on this Monday night. The winds are blowing, the snow is falling, and the temperatures are still below zero, but lots of good things here at the Wicked Sister. Still have time to come on down for the live broadcast. We do the first hour on the radio on Eagle 95.1 and online at EagleRadio951.com, but we do a full 2-hour show where we have other guests, including we're hoping to have Dave McCaig and EJ Russell join us for hour 2. We're joined here at the Wicked Sister by Katie Wollan once again, and complimented the track and field athletes there, Katie and their coach. Those two are outstanding. They made great answers and just a lot of fun. They're both soccer fans, so obviously that works pretty.
I didn't even know that.
Oh, yeah, that works pretty good with me. You like soccer, you're like my new best friend.
Yeah, exactly. Scott loves soccer. We all know that, so that's definitely something that, I don't even know what to say on that.
We can talk soccer for the next 12 minutes.
That's the
Katie.
thing. I can't even talk soccer. So
well, let's talk about our schedule, Katie. I will be out of town for 2 weeks. I have a 2-week training in South Carolina, so I'm not too complaining about the weather, but we will not have the game here at the Wicked Sister for the next 2 weeks. But you can find more sports content on the website, thegamesportshow.com, or the podcast page, thegamesportshow.podbean.com. We'll put the podcast of this 2-hour show on there as well. We have other shows from Sioux, Ontario, and other sports-related materials. So the sports won't stop on the game. We just won't be here until President's Day on February 18th.
The 18th, wow.
We're going to go through and rank the presidents one by one. That should be a lot of fun. Katie, want to talk a little bit more about the Brimley Bays and high school basketball while we have a few moments. We were expected to be joined by Butch Davis tonight, but bad weather in Detroit, so Butch unable to connect with us tonight. We'll hope to get him on very soon. You can find his show at his podcast page, Simply Butch 2. That's TOO.Podomatic.com. We mentioned, Katie, we'll have a couple girls games on the air. I'll be in Brimley tomorrow night, weather permitting, and schools in session as the Bays will take on Cedarville, and then Rudyard on Thursday with Todd Olmsted.
I'll be with him on that one.
Oh,
actually.
very good.
Yep.
Well, we'll definitely be tuning in to that one. The Brimley Bays, they have kind of a unique situation looking at their last game and when their district is. Their final game is at Cedarville on February 19th. We'll have that game on the Eagle. And then they don't play their district until March 6th. So that's a long stretch, almost, what's that, about 2.5 weeks, where they're not going to play a game. Their district is in Engadine, and they will take on the winner of Engadine at Rudyard on Wednesday, March 6th. And, you look at that district, Katie, you have Engadine, you have Rudyard, you have Newberry. Those all good teams, but you look at this Brimley team, 10-3 on the season. Would you say they're the favorite in that district at this point?
So Engadine, Rudyard, Brimley, and who else is in the district?
Newberry and Ojibwe Charter. No offense to Ojibwe Charter, but I wouldn't say they're one of the favorites. Do they have what it takes to win this district, you think?
Oh, most definitely. I think they've already proven it, not just their record, but how they go out and compete every game. Engadine, you said they won by just 8 points the other day. That was last Thursday.
Right.
8 points, and then Newberry, I know that one was a tough loss for them. They lost by 10 points. So I think if I were to say, Scott, it would be down to Brimley and Newberry for the girls' basketball district.
I think so. Talking about the boys, Katie, they will be in action at Rudyard on Friday night. You look at their season, 14-0. Here's the teams left on their schedule: Rudyard, St. Ignace, Newberry, Pickford, Harbor Light Christian, and Sioux High.
And they played them all except Sioux High, right?
Pretty much, yeah. They played them all. They beat them all. Brimley going to go undefeated, you think, in the regular season?
Oh, no doubt.
No doubt.
We already know that they've been playing together for 10 years is what they've been saying. Since they were kids, they were in the 3-on-3s, and now they're all seniors, grown up, almost grown up, that is. And they have so much experience together. They have that unlike any other team in the area. And that's what they have over everyone. They have been competing and close games, like the Rudyard game. That was an 8-point game. You have that Engadine game as well in there. And but I think they have what it takes. Not just their talent, but their overall experience. And they have the mindset, and that's what's going to make this a whole run for the Brimley Bays, and I think we're all excited to see what happens.
Yeah, their district will start soon, actually, on February 25th. The district is in Rudyard. They'll take on Ojibwe Charter in the first round game, and then the winner of that game will take on Engadine. They're going to have to play Engadine in this district. That will be Wednesday at 7:30, Wednesday the 27th. The other game in that district, Newberry and Rudyard. So if the Bays are going to win, they're going to have to get through Engadine. More than likely going to have to get through Rudyard. And then it really gets interesting. The regionals, again, we're looking ahead, assuming that they win that district. They would play potentially the number 2 team in the state, Pellston, in the regional semifinal at St. Ignace. So you could have the number 1 and number 2 ranked teams in the state, probably with 1 loss combined. Pellston's lost just 1 game playing that regional semifinal. To have the 2 top teams meet in the regional semi, that's could be a really, really good game.
That would be an awesome game because, like you said, they don't get to compete in the regular season of play. So even if the Eagle got to broadcast that game,
we will.
We will.
No question, the Eagle. We cover
definitely
Brimley.
Will then.
I was talking to my oldest son just this weekend about Brimley. they have a shot to get to the Breslin this year. I don't think there's that powerhouse team in the West this year. There's a lot of good teams, mind you, and Brimley, you're going to have enough work getting through their district, but this team just has a look this year of just selflessness. No, they're non-selfish.
Yep.
They play as a team, and things just seem to be clicking pretty good. They're a fun team to watch, and they have a chance to make a deep run.
And just to add to that, not just a fun team to watch, but just a fun team to broadcast, because both you and I have broadcast. I've broadcast them 3 times already. You've probably done at least the same
About
amount.
3, yeah.
And they're just incredible to watch, and it's just such a fun broadcast. Not that all of them aren't fun, of course.
Sure.
They all are, but yeah, there's just something about that team, and not even just for the community of Brimley, but for the Sioux as well, and all the surrounding cities and towns. I think we're all excited to watch Brimley compete and hopefully get past the districts.
And we talk a lot, Katie, about Marcus Harris and some of his antics, and for lack of a better term, but he has been outstanding. And we're looking forward to see here. I see that Butch Davis has connected, so I'm going to try to connect him. This is live on the radio, so we're going to do this. We're going to try here. Butch Davis, are you there, sir?
Yes, I am.
Hey, we are live on the radio, sir, so we're going to get right to it. We're going to keep you a few extra minutes. I know we had some difficulties getting you on, but how you doing tonight, my friend?
I'm still in the hospital, looking crazy.
Man, well, are you ready to talk some Detroit sports and try to get your mind off of hospitals and such?
Yeah, I'm doing that.
All right, well, let's talk to Butch Davis here live on Eagle 95.1, talking about the Detroit sports scene. You can find him at Butch on Sports on our website, thegamesportshow.com. Well, Butch, let's talk a little bit about the Pistons and the Red Wings. The Red Wings off for the past few days after their win at Edmonton before the All-Star break. They're going to be getting back in action soon. This Red Wings team, what are your thoughts as far as where they are heading into the trade deadline coming up in late February?
Look like Jimmy Howard's going to go. That's what it looked like at this present moment. Right now, his contract is viable where someone else can do something with it, and it's not over the salary cap here.
The Wings will be back in action on Friday night against Toronto. This year, Butch, things have not gone well as far as on the ice, but are there some things that you're seeing with this team that bodes well for the future?
Well, it bodes well for the future. They're using younger kids right now here, and a few veterans that they have in the lineup there are helping those younger kids get, somewhat in the mix on trying to be winners. Now, I can say all I want here right now, but the Red Wings haven't won anything really too much in about 3 years here. However, this is the best team I've seen so far within those 3 years because of the hustle and the skill that they're putting on the ice there. Fans appreciate it. I appreciate it. I'm quite sure you appreciate it. It's not like the Pistons where you go down there and ho-hum once a night and see, one night I feel like a nut, sometimes I don't kind of attitude there. The Red Wings are somewhat a little bit special there. I don't see them making a whole heck of a lot of moves there, but if they do make a move, it'll be Jimmy Howard. It's definitely him. He'll be on the block.
Butch, did you have a chance to watch any of the All-Star Game skills competition, or did you do like I did? Besides the female that was participating in the skating event, did you watch any of it?
Excuse me, Scott.
Hang on, sorry.
Okay, yes, I was watching NXT. I'm sorry.
That's good. That's good. You segued into the Pistons. We got to talk about them right now. 9th place in the Eastern Conference with a record of 21-27, and they're into a pretty crucial stretch here as they'll start home against Milwaukee on Tuesday. They'll also be home to Dallas on Thursday and the Clippers on Saturday. So, Butch, it's kind of put up or shut up time for the Pistons, isn't it?
I think, you know what, I'm looking at the Pistons right now, and I see a whole lot of garbage coming up there. If you saw the game the other night where Reggie Jackson tried to do a photobomb, which was a complete failure.
Unreal.
Right, well, that's been the story of the Pistons season so far. You only have 2 people really doing a heck of a job, and that's Griffin and also, I'm okay. I'll give you a call. Lord, ladies and gentlemen, here, taking care of yours truly here.
All right, Lord, take care of my man Butch there.
As long as it's radio, not TV.
Yeah, right. You're live, kid. All right. Sorry, Scott.
That's okay. Keep going, Butch. We're good.
Okay. Right now, the Pistons got a problem with basic attitude right now. Until the coach puts his foot down and do a Jim Leland, I don't see them doing too much. They are 5-6 games behind in the loss column as far as getting up to 500. It's just you need more than 2 people on the team. And Andre Drummond looks well after coming back from injury. So does Blake Griffin. But the rest of the team, by golly, has to put up a shutout. He got to play people that they put their invested time in. They don't play Luke Kennard enough. They haven't played Henry Ellison. And some other draft choices, such as Stanley Johnson, who comes out here feeling like a nut, and sometimes he don't. Jackson, another one who they got out there because he cried like a baby. Some clowns on your team. You stand up and put those clowns into place, or let them go to the circus where they can make them couple nickels and dimes, and then we'll be free. It doesn't make sense for the Pistons, who has a minor league affiliate, to do what they're doing right now. It makes no sense. If you're going to just sit out here and take the season, take the time out to care and pull some people out your Grand Rapids organization, bring them down, allow them to do your messing up there, okay? Because at least their heart's in the game. I don't see no heart at all in the Pistons.
Butch Davis joining us on the game. We're going to go a couple minutes late here since it took us a little bit to get Butch on here. Butch, what are the other doings going on in your world as far as Detroit and sports that you're watching?
Oh, well, I did watch wrestling last night. Didn't mention NXT last night. NXT was a blast. I enjoyed that wholeheartedly all the way through the end. And I watched the Royal Rumble until that last final match. And I thought, up to a certain point, the men gotta start hooking up some gears here, because the ladies are surpassing them big head and her. Sure. And it's bad to see that, but again, it was pretty entertaining last night. I enjoyed all the matches per se. That's what I did last night. Right now, if your fans don't know, and our fans don't know, I am in the hospital right now here, recuperating from some trying events right now. They keep me overnight. Hopefully, I'll get to go home tomorrow or the next day. And just getting my health together is in order right now, so I can kind of put the pedal to the metal here.
Butch, Katie and I are here, and we're wishing you the best. Get better soon. I know it's not easy going through health issues, and we wish you the best. And thoughts and prayers are with you from not just Katie and I, but our entire family and, our entire listenership here at the Eagle.
Thank you very much, and you guys are not eating hospital food, though. Okay.
Oh, no, we're much better food, aren't we, Katie?
Yeah, we are, Scott.
I'm ducking the green Jell-O, okay?
Yeah, stay away from the green Jell-O indeed. Want to thank Butch Davis for joining us here in hour one of the game. Katie, want to thank you as well for joining us in hour one. You'll stick around for hour number two. Also want to thank our guests from the Lake Superior State University track and field team. Great job by those two ladies coming in. Just good stuff all around here on the game. Riley Collins and Ashley Mullings. I want to thank our broadcast engineer, Trent Raymond, back in the Eagle 95.1 studios. For those that are online, stick around for hour two. For those that are on the radio, we'll get you back to Classic Hits at Random on Eagle 95.1.
The Wicked Sister, Sioux, Michigan. The Wicked Sister has managed to create a casual menu that offers unique, creative, and sometimes healthy offerings that rivals menu selections of any big city. Both the kitchen and the bar are filled with a staff who are exceptional at their jobs, producing signature items that have made the Wicked Sister a destination for foodies and beer nerds alike. On Ashman Street, Sioux, Michigan. Welcome to the Wicked Sister, where you'll be treated like family, whether you like it or not.
faith.
Welcome back to the game on Eagle 95.1 and online at thegamesportshow.com. Scott Nason broadcasting from the Wicked Sister on Ashman Street on this cold, wintry Monday night. Want to thank all our guests in Hour 1. We'll be joined later on this hour by Dave McCaig from Sault, Ontario, and host of thegamesportshow.com from several locations. We'll also be joined once again by Butch Davis. We're joined right now by Katie Wollan, back at the Eagle 95.1 studios. Katie, thanks for joining us again for Hour 2.
Happy to be here, Scott, for Hour 2.
And we are joined right now by our good friend E.J. Russell as his chair, sponsored by Riverside Toyota in Escanaba. He's on the Riverside Toyota hot seat. E.J., how you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing all right. Just hanging out at home with my family in Cleveland. Due to some unfortunate circumstances, but happy to be here as always.
Yeah, we thank you for joining us, EJ, and our thoughts and prayers with you as well and your entire family. EJ, we have for one topic tonight. Katie and I will do our best to try to discuss your topic before your thumbs up and thumbs down. So, EJ Russell on the Riverside Toyota hot seat. I like that. What's your topic tonight, sir?
It was a good one, EJ.
So, Pro Bowl was just played. The NHL All-Star festivities have wrapped up. My question as a generality is, out of all of these All-Star games in the major sports, the NFL, NBA, NHL, and Major League Baseball, which one of those interests you the most, and which one do you care to tune into when it's being played? Now, the reason I'm asking this question is because during this last Pro Bowl, you saw quite a bit of shenanigans. Guys like Saquon Barkley and Mike Evans playing on the defensive side of the football, Jalen Ramsey catching touchdown passes. It spiced things up a little bit. I don't know if it did it for me, but for you guys, which All-Star game format interests you the most? Which one do you always make sure to tune into and why?
EJ, I'll start and then see if Katie wants a crack at this one. The one that interests me the most, just because it's the way the game is played in the regular season, at least compares to it better, is Major League Baseball. The game doesn't change that much in Major League Baseball in the All-Star game. It used to have a lot of meaning with, home field and the World Series. And I got to be honest, that's about the only one I watched of the four major sports. Now, I would say it used to be hockey was my second favorite, but the 3-on-3, I am not a fan of the 3-on-3. I'm not a fan of the 3-on-3 in overtime in the regular season. I don't like what they're doing with these mini games, 3-on-3. Hockey wasn't meant to be played 3-on-3. Hockey wasn't meant to be played with the shootout. Hockey was meant to be played 5-on-5 and going back to the way the All-Star game used to be. So I have to put hockey now as my least favorite. I know that might surprise a few people, but I just don't like the 3-on-3. I don't like what they're doing with that. Pro Bowl, I would say, has at least tried to do a little bit more interesting, as you mentioned. I would say, I did tune in a little bit to that game, but not much. I was playing Super Mario 3, Katie, so that one kind of took my attention away. NBA, again, I don't like seeing 186 to 184 games in there. All-Star game, they used to play defense in the All-Star game a little bit. They used to play defense in the NBA, I might add, not that long ago. So to answer your question, EJ, the one I like the best is Major League Baseball. Maybe it's because there's not as much going on as well. I mean, really, there's no other sports going on during a Major League Baseball All-Star game. They had a lot of different options here this weekend. So Major League Baseball, the one I watch, and I got to say my least favorite right now is the NHL because I just don't like the 3-on-3. Katie, your thoughts on EJ's topic?
I guess, I'm biased because I love basketball, so I'm always going to tune into that, EJ. I'm always going to tune into the NBA All-Star game. But got to add to what Scott said, I'm not a fan of these 180, 200-point games as well. I'm always going to watch, but it's not fun to me like it used to be. Just like Scott said, the defense isn't there. It's really just a shootout. Like, who can score the most points individually for their team? It's disappointing from an NBA fan, because you finally have that opportunity for those all-stars, those top players of the whole league, like in the world and everywhere, and they don't give it their all, and they don't buy into it, and they just you don't always get that opportunity to get to play with those players. You're always on your own team, and to me it's just like, I think they all enjoy it because they get to talk amongst each other, and but at the same time it's not competitive, and it's kind of a downer for sure. And kind of also to add to what Scott said, I have tuned into the Major League Baseball one when it comes around in the summer time, and as for football, I do watch that too, but at the same time, I don't know, just not as often. Maybe like every other year I'll tune in because something's going on. But I guess those were like I wanted to put my 2 cents in about that, coming from a huge NBA fan. And EJ, we want to know your opinion now.
Yes, we do. Well done, Katie. EJ Russell, your thoughts on your own topic, sir?
Well, Scott, as soon as you said it, I grabbed a pen and paper and wrote it down to make sure that I didn't forget to bring this up. Shootouts are good for the game of hockey. And I've argued this since day one, working with you and Dave and Butch.
I got you here.
Shootouts, that's how I got on the show. Shootouts are the greatest thing in the NHL, and I think that they've done a great job of integrating a moment for fans to, like I've always said, experience something exceptional, see something that they've never seen before. And I said it back then, and I'll bring it up again. Marek Malik in the early 2000s scored between his legs as a defenseman, never scored a goal all year, goes top shelf on Olaf Kolzig in the 20-something round of the shootout to win it for his team. And the place erupted. It was one of the greatest moments I ever got a chance to witness on TV as far as a regular season game goes. I think that the NHL, though, is doing a great job with moving to this 3-on-3 format. And some people, like yourself, are against that. And that they say that that's not hockey. Well, you're right, it's not. But this is an all-star showcase. This is a format that's meant and designed to give fans a moment to see their favorite players do something great. And when you go to that 3-on-3 format, the ice opens up a lot more. And you get players like Sidney Crosby or Connor McDavid or Jonathan Tavares that can go out there and make great plays. Or give defensemen, guys like Drew Doughty or Shea Weber or PK Subban, a chance to jump up into the play and make something a little bit more exciting outside of what the fans normally would get to see those kind of guys do. I think the NHL has done a great job with it. I thought that they're continuing to expand on the skills competition that they do. I think they've done a great job with that. NFL Pro Bowl is essentially pointless. Now, I will say it was somewhat exciting to see some of these guys flipping sides of the ball, but to me it felt corny and cheesy, and it didn't bring anything to the game. The NBA All-Star Game, other than if you're a fan of dunking, is essentially worthless. But the one thing that neither of you brought up, and I think is what makes this All-Star Game better than all of the others, is in Major League Baseball, that game means something, right?
Yep.
In the past, and I don't know if there's any plans to change it going forward, the winning league gets home field advantage in the World Series. And I think that forces players to give a little bit more effort. Now, of course, it's not going to be, and I'll put air quotes on this, a true effort, because the managers want to make sure that certain players get into the games and fans get to see their favorite players. But come to the end of that game, if it's close, managers start strategizing because they know at the end of the day, hey, if I got a good ball club, this is going to make a big difference for us here. So I think Major League Baseball has done a great job with that, and I think out of all of the all-star formats, baseball is the easiest because it's probably the least contact of all the sports. The NBA, I mean, outside the dunk competition and three-point shooting, does anybody watch the actual game for anything other than dunking and three-point shooting? No. And I do enjoy watching those guys fly high and all the shenanigans that they do and the fun plays that they create. But I think between all of these great sports, I think Major League Baseball has got it dialed in. I think that, the NFL tried to up the ante when they offered these bonuses to the players for their conference winning the AFC or the NFC. I think that if the NBA can put a little bit more of something on there, that'll bring more attention to the game there. I think the NHL, they offer up money for the winning squad there. But they, as a whole, Major League Baseball has got it dialed in perfectly. It is the perfect exhibition of watching great athletes that are the best in the world at what they do put on a display for the fans.
EJ, before we let you go and get to your thumbs up and thumbs down for the week, your Super Bowl prediction. We're going to give ours here at the end of the show. New England, LA Rams. I keep wanting to call them St. Louis. Your prediction on the game, if you're willing to give one.
I'm going to give two. And I'll say why. I am pulling for the Rams. I think that the Rams have a better defense. I think they have more weapons as far as their roster goes. Now, looking at the Patriots in any Super Bowl they've ever played, I don't know that you can say that they were the most dominant or the best team in any one of those games. Patriots are led by a great coach named Bill Belichick, who has been a favorite to win the Super Bowl in almost every year that he's coached, it feels like. So if I got to pick right now, I'll go Patriots 28, Rams 24. However, and this is why I say I want to make two picks here. If Todd Gurley runs for over 150 yards, Rams are going to win 31-17.
I like it. EJ Russell joining us on the game. EJ, your thumbs up and thumbs down for the week before we let you go, sir.
Well, thumbs up. Obviously, I really appreciate you guys having me on today, especially with what I got going on and letting me jump in for the short term here on this short session, I'll call it. My thumbs up for the week, and I know before the show, Scott, you and I had kind of talked about this a little bit. I want to give thumbs up to CCM Hockey and Brianna Decker.
Yes.
And some people who may not have watched the NHL skills competition or didn't follow any of the news after the fact may not have heard this story. And if you haven't, it's a shame, and I'm going to share it with you right here. Brianna Decker is a Team USA women's hockey player who also plays for the Calgary Inferno or the Canadian Women's Hockey League. Now, the one thing I think the NHL skills competition did well, and I want to give them the NHL thumbs up here too, is they're bringing these women in these other leagues and women that were on Team USA and had them demo some of the skills competitions or compete. What was her name? Kendall Coyne, I can't remember, Schofield or whatever her name is, competed in the fastest skater competition. I thought that was a lot of fun to watch. But one thing that people on the internet caught on to and the NHL didn't recognize right away is they had Brianna Decker demo the passing skills competition. When she finished that competition, she finished it with the time of 1 minute and 6 seconds. That was better, okay? And she beat out Oilers center Leon, how do you say his last name, Scott?
Let's call him Leon.
Draisaitl, who won the competition and completed the course in 1 minute and 9 seconds. So she beat him by 3 seconds. But not only did she beat him, she beat the other 7 NHL All-Stars that competed in that competition. Now, what does that mean for her? Well, the NHL pays out cash prizes for the winners of these competitions. And people were starting to call for the NHL to reward Brianna Decker for completing the course in the fastest amount of time. But CCM, who is a sponsor of hers, has decided to fork up and pay the $25,000 bonus for her finishing the passing skills contest at the NHL All-Star Weekend with the best time. And I thought that was something that fans who may just be casual fans and maybe didn't catch that's something that needs to be brought to attention there. Thumbs up to CCM, thumbs up to Brianna Decker. Absolutely fantastic to see them getting women involved in these competitions as the NHL and hockey in general is trying to make the sport more progressive, continue to move forward and expand it to these other groups of people who may not have been in the game before. Women's hockey is on the rise. They now have their own professional league, and I think CCM did a great job stepping up to the plate there. So thumbs up to them. No thumbs down for me this week. Just happy to be here as always.
EJ Russell joining us on the Riverside Toyota hot seat. Thumbs up to you, EJ. I know a tough day for you and your family. Katie and I, thoughts and prayers are with you guys. Be around family. Take care of yourself. Now, we're going to be off the next couple weeks due to my work schedule, but we'll be back on President's Day for our next edition. So hopefully you can join us then, and we will talk to you soon, my friend.
Always happy to join you guys. Thank you so much for the kind words, and I know he's not on right now. Dave reached out as well with some condolences, so thank you to him. So some of you that may not know what's going on and kind of hear these things happening, my grandmother passed away last night, and that is why I'm at home. But thank you guys so much for having me and allowing me to jump on, even if it's a short amount of time, and I appreciate the kind words from all of you.
We love you, bud, don't we, Katie?
Yeah, we love you, EJ. Thank you for coming on. That was awesome.
Thank you, guys. Love you, too. Thank you so much.
All right, we'll be back with Dave McCaig coming up next on The Game here on Eagle 95.1.
The Wicked Sister, Sioux, Michigan. Check TripAdvisor. Ranked right towards the top. Awarded the Certificate of Excellence, as well as voted #1 pub in the UP. The Wicked Sister has managed to create a casual menu that offers unique, creative, and sometimes healthy offerings that rivals menu selections of any big city. Burgers and starters, snacks and shareable, soups and salads, sandwiches and tapas. On Ashman Street, Sioux, Michigan. Welcome to the Wicked Sister, where you'll be treated like family, whether you like it or not.
Welcome back to The Game on Eagle 95.1 and online at thegamesportshow.com. Scott Nason along with Katie Wollan back at the Wicked Sister as the weather outside, well, it's still frightful, but it's delightful here in the Wicked Sister, Katie. This is a poppin' place.
I like that one, Scott. I did not see that coming, but it was funny as always.
Well, speaking of not seeing that coming, we've waited for him a while, but he is joining us via the phone. His name is Dave McCaig. We call him Mr. Electric Avenue. Some people in business call him Kegger. I like to call him a good friend. Host of our sports show, The Game, over in Sioux, Ontario at Northern Superior Brewery, along with Sports Center Bar and Grill and Icebreakers inside the John Rhodes Community Center. Dave joins us here on The Game each and every week. Mr. Electric Avenue, Dave McCaig, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great, Scotty. As always, touching yet awesome intro. I wonder you're going to make me start tearing up, my friend. That's awesome. How you doing, sir? And Katie, how are you?
I'm doing wonderful, Dave. I appreciate it. And before we get into the round table and some of the things we wanted to discuss, Dave, we talked a lot in the first hour about local sports. And, you know, right now, you look at the teams that we follow and how they're doing. The Sioux Greyhounds, we've talked a lot about them. The Hounds continue to win. They did fall yesterday in overtime to Kitchener, but they're top of their division. You got the Sioux Thunderbirds, top of the NOJHL. You got the Sioux Eagles all of a sudden starting to make a move in the standings, just 3 points behind Blind River. You got Lake Superior State University having more wins than they've had in the past few seasons, potentially top 4 in the WCHA. I just wanted to kind of get your thoughts on what's been a very good local hockey season for a lot of the teams that we cover.
It's been, you know what, when you got to, I'll start with the Hounds especially, and I got to give a shout out to the Lakers too, right? With LSSU, that's been one team that I've been waiting to see get back and get going, and they've been playing some good hockey all season long as well. So I got to say that's big for us. But for Sioux, Ontario, it's been, you know, with the Hounds, and you and I can recall this, Scotty, when we first started talking about when we first got the season back up, that people were questioning the Hounds if they are going to be a team that's going to, you know, be a top team in the conference or be a top team in the division. That people had them pegged to be sellers at the deadline and everything at the beginning of the year. And I can recall that you and I were saying that you can't count out this team. You still have Hayden probably coming back from Arizona, which he did. Morgan Frost, you have Hoddeshell, you have Hollowell, you have Villalta. The only question mark was Sandine if he came back or not, and ultimately he is not in a Hound uniform, so he's not back. But this team has been doing pretty great, and Sault Ste. Marie is, for some reason, surprised at the beginning of the year that it went like that, but now everyone has the expectation that this team can make a run deep into the playoffs again, and people aren't too concerned that they did not do too much at the deadline. I kind of was, and based on I thought they were maybe a defenseman or two away if they could have went into a defensive defenseman or picked someone up there to contend against London. Saginaw, Guelph obviously loaded up. So, ultimately, in general, you have the Hounds who are just hot. Yes, they did lose to Kitchener yesterday. Questionable loss. I know there's some questionable calls by the refs, but here on the game, we're not going to criticize refs. Everyone's human and makes mistakes. But you have a season by the Hounds that's just been grade A+ so far. And the boys have been doing great there. And the dog pound is certainly as I like to say, barking loud for sure, and the fans are getting really behind this team. And with the Thunderbirds, they are running away with the Western Division there. They are leads ahead of every team right now, but the Eagles are coming hot, and they're always a problem for the Thunderbirds and always have been. That border rivalry adds an extra momentum, and the Eagles are a good hockey team, and they're also well coached by Doug Leprod. So you know what, they have a good little local hockey talent going on here with all those four big teams, and we can't even forget about the Sioux College Cougars. And getting into the ACHA, and it is one of the lower divisions in the ACHA ranks, but you know what? They're still doing extremely well, and they're going to nationals in Dallas, and then within the next couple months. So all around, local hockey is just flourishing, and we shall be enjoying it.
We shall. Dave, looks like Butch Davis is available. I'm going to try to add him on the call here while we're doing this live. So stand by 1 second, Dave. We're going to try to get Butch on here as well. Butch Davis, are you there, sir?
I'm here.
All right, we got Butch Davis, Dave McCaig, along with Katie Wollan and Scott Nason from the Wicked Sister. Butch, we're just talking to Dave here as far as our roundtable. So, Dave, why don't we give you first topic? Butch will give you first crack, and then Katie, we have time for about 2 topics tonight. So, Dave McCaig, what would you like to bring up on tonight's roundtable?
Well, you know what? There's the topic that I wanted to bring up, but I might leave this for Katie because it's regarding Anthony Davis. And that was one that I wanted to bring up, but I'm not going to do that because on the way home, my phone decided to blurp, and I don't look at my phone when I drive, kids. That's not a good thing to do. So I did look at it at a stoplight. I'm not going to lie, because it beeped a couple times. And usually when my phone beeps a couple times, either a text or some sort of notification involving hockey, because I like to be very minimal with my data charges. I looked at it. The Toronto Maple Leafs have acquired Jake Muzzin from the Los Angeles Kings. So that's a trade that happened today, and the Leafs got rid of a very steep prospect pool, I like to say, with Carl Grundstrom and Sean Dirtsey, and a first-round pick. Now, Grundstrom is a great prospect, currently playing the AHL. Sean Dirtsey is currently playing the OHL. That's got moved, actually, I believe, to Guelph, the top of my head, from a lot of excitement going on in my head right now. And a first, and that first you must predict is going to be a bottom 10 pick in a draft that has been labeled as pretty weak, to be straight out honest, but you never know. It's always a first-round pick. So the Leafs get a right-handed shot defenseman who has some term left on his deal, and I'm sure Dubas isn't done adding yet. I'm sure he'd like to add another forward or even another defenseman to that crew, but Muzzin and Dubas have a history. I actually know Muzzin personally, and I'm very excited that he can go to Toronto. I'm definitely going to reach out to him to hopefully get him on the show, but I want to talk about this trade. Now, was this a steep price for Toronto to pay? And I'm going to say right now, I believe it was, but I know we're going to go all around in the circle. The Leafs got a right shot defenseman. They got a guy who can put the puck in the net and play good defense. What does everybody else say?
Butch, we talked about the wings here in our segment in hour one. The Leafs do acquire Jake Muzzin. In return, the Kings get a first-round pick, as Dave mentioned, along with forward Carl Grundstrom and the rights to defenseman Sean Dirtsey. Your thoughts on that trade and just the NHL, which will be wheeling and dealing here coming up?
The Leafs want to show everybody they're ready to go in the playoffs and go a long period of time right now. And a trade like they made today may speak volumes for them when they get down to playoff time, and we'll see if it works or not. Always when you let go of a first-round draft pick, okay, that is something to behold, okay, because sometimes those drop like a bomb. However, the Leafs right now, they want to go further than what they have been in the past in the playoffs. So I would say, from what I have seen from the gentlemen or the people that they are involved in the trade, it's a good move for the Leafs, especially for the Leafs right now. They got to move a little harder than what they have been moving in the past there. and I would expect it more from the Leafs right now at the time of season. And right now they're not giving it to me. You know, it really doesn't mean nothing in the middle. It means something at the end of the season and going into the playoffs is when you want to be at your best. So right now the Leafs are getting it together so they can make a run.
Yeah, Butch, I'll go next. Dave, Katie and I, Katie's having me speak for her on this move. Talk about the Leafs needing help on the D line, and you've been talking about that for a long time. And the Leafs kind of needed to make something happen here a little bit earlier than expected, because everybody's chasing Tampa Bay right now. Tampa Bay is the cream of the crop as far as the East, but a lot of pressure, I think, on Toronto right now to make a bit of a playoff run. I'm not saying they have to make it to the Stanley Cup or win it, but I think there's pressure right now on this franchise to make that next step. I mean, they've taken a lot of steps over the last few years as far as where they were just 3 years ago to where they are now. But this absolutely adds some strength on that blue line and some experience. And to get something, you got to give up something. And, as Butch said, giving up a first-round draft pick, you better be getting something good in return. I think the Leafs did, and I think that'll obviously help their squad. Whether or not they can get past Tampa or, if they match up against Boston again is still left to be said. Dave, your thoughts on your own topic before we go to Katie and Butch for theirs.
See, the big thing with Jake Muzzin is, I believe, because even Dubas said he wants to try to get somebody with term. Now, Jake Muzzin's making $4 million this year. The Leafs pick up the remaining half of that from LA, and then also $4 million next year, 2019-2020 season. So you got basically this year and next year with Jake Muzzin, okay, and honestly, there's a guy that when he resigns, I think it's going to be around the 4.5 to 5 area. So this is a guy that you could potentially keep around for a little bit. So Dubas was looking to add someone who had term. Carl Grundstrom was a prospect who I thought was NHL ready this year and has had a pretty good year in the AHL. And Sean Durkee is doing absolutely fantastic in the OHL. But when you look at Sandin and Timothy Legiron, those are prospects that are very offensive. So Sean Durkee's a very offensive defenseman, and Toronto already has enough of that. So to move Durkee was okay, but I am kind of worried about Durkee because I believe he will turn out to be a 30-plus point defenseman in the National Hockey League. But that first-round pick, I actually have no issue with because it is steep, but I'm not a fan of the draft class this year, nor was I a fan of the draft class last year. And that's no offense to the people who did get picked, especially two Greyhound players like Rasmus Kapari, who has rights with the Hounds, Sandin, and Barrett Hayton, who all went. But because I didn't get drafted in the National Hockey League, so I don't mean to chirp or anything, but the draft hasn't been as strong as what it has been in recent years. And the Leafs have to take advantage of being able to have such a deep prospect pool that they can move these picks. And Muzzin immediately slides in there, but right now you have a decor of Riley, Hainsey, Oshiganoff, Gardner, Zaitsev, Muzzin. You got a pretty crowded backcourt a little bit, so I wonder if there's something still in the waiting. I know Dubas said he wants to make a couple moves. I still think he's going to look at another defenseman, and I really think he's going to possibly look at moving Kasperi Kapanen, which I think would be the mistake, but he wants to get another defenseman whom has term, and I know he has a lot of connection with Adam Larson with the Oilers. He's had connection with Colton Parenko in St. Louis, Alex Pietrangelo in St. Louis, who only has 6.5 going into next year still too. So I think all in all, it's a good trade that Toronto had to make, and people are going to think that it is steep. Okay, and it kind of is if you look at Carl Grundstrom, because that's the player I think is really going to pan out in the trade. But to get a player like Jake Muzzin, who has a Stanley Cup and who has gotten 40-plus points in the National Hockey League and who is an absolute force defensively, Toronto needed this presence because when they go against Boston, what's their biggest issue? They're soft. Boston is built for playoff hockey. They're tough. They're mean. And Muzzin is exactly that. And you know what? To end my point, I remember playing at the Sioux Greyhounds camp back in 2009. I got open ice hit once, and it hurts. I ended up getting up, but guess who hit me? It was Jake Muzzin. So I can tell you right now, Muzzin will finish the body. He'll be a good pick for the Leafs, move into the top 4 easily, if not the top pairing with Morgan Riley, and allow Ron Hainsey to move down. It needed to be done, but I can't think that the Toronto Maple Leafs are going to be done just yet. I still think there's some more to do.
Jersey was rumored to come to the Greyhounds here during the trade deadline, so maybe this was Dubas's way of saying, sorry, bye-bye. Let's get to Butch Davis for his topic tonight. Katie, we'll give you first topic if you want it. So, Butch Davis, what are you thinking about? What would you like to bring up to the roundtable?
Well, let's bring up the simple fact that Anthony Davis is want to part ways with the Pelicans here. And why? Because there's more oil in the ground somewhere else here. Being I said that here, you can pick that us. You can pick the Royal Rumble from last night.
Ooh. Oh, boy. Wow. Katie, why don't you talk about Davis? I'll talk about the Royal Rumble.
All right, yeah, that sounds
big talk in the NBA with Davis. Go.
Yeah, so, we found out about that this morning. That was actually going to be my topic, so I'm going to definitely contribute.
We only have time for one more, so that works out.
Look at that. It works out perfect. And, well, to me, I was kind of blindsided by it because – the last couple of months, Anthony Davis has been kind of quiet. People would be like, oh, is he going to be traded to the Celtics? Does he want to trade? Blah, blah, blah. And he wouldn't really commit to an answer. And so I guess I just didn't, he seemed to be happy where he was. He seemed to be happy with the New Orleans Pelicans. And, but now it's a little surprise, but at the same time, it's not because, he's on a team. I think they're less than 500. They're pretty close in record as to the Pistons are right now in the East, and he wants to be on a contending team. He wants to play with the big dogs. I'm not saying he's going to the Celtics or going to Philadelphia, or maybe he might go to the Lakers. I guess I wanted to kind of add into like a prediction, if that's okay, Butch, that I think that would be the most favored team right now is the Lakers, because there's LeBron James, but I feel like they want to trade away those young bloods. You got Kuzma, you have Lonzo, and you have Ingram, and and they're all fantastic in their own ways, and I really do enjoy watching all those players. But for someone like Anthony Davis, who's in his prime, knows what to do, but has never been to a championship, but has that mentality, has that skill, has it all, I think it's definitely one to consider is the Lakers. So I would put that in there. Lakers and Celtics would be my top two predictions for him to be traded away. But yeah, again, a little bit surprised, but at the same time, not, is what I'm going to say about that one, Butch.
Very good. I know Dave's probably going to talk more about this. I'm going to go to the Royal Rumble. I love how Butch just branched off into two topics. That's perfect.
Like that.
WWE got things right last night as far as who won the Royal Rumble. I got to say, Royal Rumble is probably my second favorite pay-per-view in WWE. Obviously, WrestleMania being the big one. But the Royal Rumble, they needed to do two things, in my opinion. They needed to get Becky Lynch over, and they needed to get Seth Rollins over. And both those individuals won. Becky Lynch right now, what an amazing story. She was on the pre-show of WrestleMania last year. Now, this is somebody that's come up through the ranks and just never quite caught on to the fan. But just a few months ago, they changed her image. They changed her from being a face, which is a good guy or girl, to being a heel, which is a bad guy or girl, a la the Stone Cold Steve Austin route, where they're bad, but the fans love it. And this new, she calls herself the man right now. Becky Lynch is the hottest thing in wrestling. We're talking about just the fans are just behind this. And, I really want to see at WrestleMania, Becky Lynch, Ronda Rousey, Charlotte Flair to main event WrestleMania, or some combination of that. Obviously, Ronda Rousey, there's rumors as far as if she's going to be around after this year. She might be starting a family, some have said. But Becky Lynch, you got to promote this girl. She is the best thing in wrestling right now. There's some other very good female wrestlers right now all across the card. Female wrestling has kind of, I think, gotten a little bit above as far as men's wrestling, the attention. And again, I really think that the women should main event WrestleMania with those three that I mentioned. And Seth Rollins, I mean, this is a guy that, the fans like. He's there week in and week out. And, to have him get a big push and potentially go against a Brock Lesnar, who had a very good match against Finn Balor last night, I thought the WWE got it right last night. And good job on the Royal Rumble. Dave, we'll go to you for your thoughts, I'm sure, on Anthony Davis, and then we'll go back to Butch for his thoughts and on his topic. Excuse me.
With the Royal Rumble, I'm going to save my little reaction for a little bit because on Wednesday we have Intercontinental Lynch, 100% going by Sports Center. So actually we'll be diving into a lot of Royal Rumble there. So if anyone wants to hear my reaction with Nathan Inch, I'll save it for that because nice. I want to keep my information just so I can say it once opposed to having to say it twice. So WWE, those I'll say, Scott, because I did look at it last night. My favorite pay-per-view for wrestling. I'll always still watch Royal Rumble and WrestleMania. As you said, the reason why Royal Rumble is because my friends and I have incorporated a drinking game for the Royal Rumble, and I won't have to get into those rules. So it's definitely something I still do enjoy to watch. And WWE did get it right last night, so I couldn't agree with you more there, sir. But Anthony Davis, I do got a little bit to say about this, and I'll keep it as short and sweet as possible and not try to go the usual Dave McCaig route with explanations. But Anthony Davis, I'm not surprised that he requested a trade at all. That is the obvious statement here. But everyone now, I've read all these articles. If it's ESPN, I've read Sportsnet is all over this, and TSN, is also all over it as their big viewer here for the Raptors in Canada. So they had the 5 possible destinations, right? You had the Lakers, you had the Celtics, you had the Raptors, you had the Clippers, and lastly, I can't remember the top of my head who I think they had. I think it might have been the 76ers was the other one, but they had the 5 teams named as favorites. Raptors were third out of those 5. Number 1 was obviously the Lakers, okay? The Lakers have Kuzma. They have Ball, as you said, Katie. So they have the prospects that they can move. And I could just see all those memes that were put on the comments of LeBron James doing his dance, the Shaq thing where he looks at the cat and does the same dance. Like all these little memes coming in and saying that this is LeBron right now. And you know what? I'd be very surprised if he didn't go to the Lakers. That's where I really, truly think he's going to go in terms of my instinct. But my heart wants to think different. I'm going to go the Canada route here. I'm saying that Masai Ujiri is all in here. He wants Anthony Davis, and believe it or not, he has a bench, and he has a lot of things that he can move, not as much as the Lakers can. Okay, the Lakers have some good NHL, some NBA-ready talent right now. But you know what? The Raptors, they're not going to move Pascal Siakam. Okay, and I think that's only one player that probably the Pelicans would really want back. But you know what? There's OG Anunoby. I still can't pronounce his name fully correctly, but there's him that they could potentially move. You have your first-round pick. You have picks that you could potentially move down in the future. You also have people on the floor that you can move. You can also potentially move a Jonas Valanciunas in this trade. You can move someone who has that value that you've shown that you can win without. Maybe you can move a Serge Ibaka. You can move certain guys to the Pelicans to try to make them relevant as they still try to make the playoffs. They're under 500, but you know what? There's still a way they can squeak in there. It's not impossible. The Pelicans want to get value where they have competitiveness on the court, but they also have some competitiveness towards the future in drafting to be able to draft good future talent. The Raptors have youth and NBA-ready talent to move, and they can afford to move it. They have 10 guys on their bench, and all of them could probably start for every NBA team. When I really think about it, you got Fred VanVleet, you got Wright, you have CJ Miles, you got all these other little guys that are playing behind Lowry, playing behind the Kawhi Leonard, and playing behind these guys. Masai Ujiri sees a window of opportunity this year to win, and I think he's going to go all in on Anthony Davis because I think he's that Anthony Davis player away from being able to, yes, and I'll say it, beat the Golden State Warriors. Okay, I think that Kawhi Leonard and Anthony Davis having Kyle Lowry can give a pretty good matchup against Curry, Durant, and also Klay Thompson. Okay, and all the other 17 guys they have in Golden State. But I think they have a good squad there that can get the job done. And I think that the Raptors are going to be the team that pulls away with Anthony Davis. I'm not even trying to be biased with it. I just know, as he said, that Masai Ujiri wasn't done this year after he got Kawhi. He said he wants to go after some other big names and make a run this year. So if he wants to make a run this year, what better than to reach out to Anthony Davis and be like, listen, let's do this. Let's win a title. The first one in Canada. You and Kawhi are the poster for the rest of entirety for the Raptors organization. Never mind what DeMar did in 7-8 years. You guys can do this in 1 year. So I really think this is a chance. But at the end of the day, Anthony might leave in free agency to go to the Lakers down the road. But for now, I think Anthony wants to be on a winning team that's going to be almost a lock to win. What better than for the Pelicans to get a good NBA-ready talent now, plus some prospects in the end of it that they can all branch out to what they want, and the Raptors get what they want, and that's another player to put them over the top and truly be the number one team in the NBA.
Butch Davis, let's go to you for thoughts on your own topic. I just wanted to add one thing from Royal Rumble. We got to see Jeff Jarrett in the ring. Slapnuts was back.
Yeah, Slapnuts got the nuts kicked out of him, too. The guitar popped upside his head here, man. You're a Hall of Famer. Why would you take that kind of abuse here?
I know, right?
Oh, why? I don't understand that one here. But Royal Rumble was pretty doggone good last night there. There was very competitive matches. Oh, and then basically the 2-hour time they gave before Royal Rumble officially came on the air was great there. Some good, steady matches. It was just something for everybody. Again, the women's matches showed supreme by all means, okay? When they got to the last Royal Rumble match on the night, which was the men's there, some of it was just too corny indeed here. Yep. And it just watered it down from it being somewhat legit there. But the women really showed that can off last night. They really should be proud of themselves and what they're doing with the women's division for the WWE. And if you're not really smart or what it may be, like I said, the countdown is 8 more months before SmackDown goes to Fox on the national network. Expect some changes after the WrestleMania there, as far as the talent is concerned. It has to come there. Becky Lynch got about a couple of months to get that knee right before WrestleMania there, and congratulations to her. On the other hand, on the Mr. Davis routine there, I liked all the comments that I did hear about that particular young man there, but there's no way he goes to anybody on the West team. The person I would feel is a good suitor for that particular, yes, Toronto has some money, they got some cash, they can get rid of some players, but do they do that with what they have invested in those players so far so good? No. I think the best move that Mr. Davis shows supreme is with the Celtics.
Yep, I agree.
The Celtics can give up 2 or 3 good first-round draft picks. The Pelicans would be more than happy. And then also the Celtics would have got money to foot the bill for a Davis for the long term there. I don't think the Raptors do have the money there to fit for the long term, but I don't think they can afford to get rid of those particular players like Van Fleet and others who really they invested their time and effort in, and it's come up to be pretty good doggone players there. Where do they fit in if they went to the Pelicans? They're not going to make the Pelicans a better team. And the Pelicans right now, they're looking for what is equal. And what's equal is a first-round draft pick or maybe a couple. So right now, the team that got that energy would be the Celtics there, indeed. I cannot see him. And then at that best, Golden State got the boogeyman word, so I'm just going to look and laugh at this particular situation because 10-1 to a dozen of donuts, he goes nowhere. Okay, he stays with the Pelicans for the rest of the season, or he gets hurt and just stays on the bench. Right now, he's hurt, so he can't do anything for anybody, period.
Kind of wish we would have seen the boogeyman there last night at the Royal Rumble, Butch.
Come on in.
Hello.
Hey.
How are you?
I'm okay.
My name's Mahang.
We'll let Butch get to his nurse. We'll get to our thumbs up and thumbs down for the week. I will start thumbs up to a couple tennis players playing down under. Naomi Osaka winning her 2nd straight major from Japan, but raised in America, as she won that tournament. And Novak Djokovic, I'll tell you what, if you want to see somebody playing at the top of their game, watch Djokovic in that semifinal and final. He played Nadal, somebody that has a ton of major championships, and he just absolutely took Nadal to school. Djokovic did not lose a set. He didn't even get broken once in that whole tournament. So great job at Novak Djokovic and Miss Naomi Osaka for their wins down under. Thumbs down. I had a chance to watch my cousin play some local hockey here this weekend, and both my boys play basketball, so I don't get a chance to watch a lot of youth hockey. And, well, I remember youth hockey growing up, and some hockey parents, okay? It's like that in other sports, Katie, but, boy, hockey just sometimes just seems to bring out the worst in some of these parents. My cousin plays for Petoskey, my cousin's son plays for Petoskey, and she's like me. She watches the game. She supports her son. She's not going to go out there and scream bloody murder at the refs or at the other players. And there were a couple games that we saw this weekend and it was the Petoskey parents, not the Sioux parents, just absolutely making themselves look like a bunch of idiots and out of control. One of the gentlemen from Petoskey was kicked out by the young official. Good job for him for screaming some things. And then there was a gentleman sitting not too far from me. And this is a peewee division where players cannot check. And the Petoskey player checked the Sioux kid, who was a little bit younger or a little bit smaller than this gentleman. And he got up and took exception. He kind of pushed him a little bit. And this man, probably a little older than me, yelled at this 10-year-old kid by saying, "Oh, what's wrong? You can't take that?" I turned around and said, "He's 10 years old, for crying out loud." And, I wish we just had video of these hockey parents and some of their antics and literally embarrassing their kids in certain cases. And again, this isn't all hockey parents. This isn't everybody, but you see it at hockey rinks all the time, and it's just absolutely ridiculous. Let the kids play. Let the coaches coach. Let the refs officiate. And it's a wonder that we don't get a lot of youngsters going into officiating when they see the nonsense and the jackasses that are in the stands in hockey. So it was really an eye-opener, and I love hockey, but I was almost thankful at that point that my kids don't play hockey to hear some of that. That's my thumbs down. Katie Wollan, your thumbs up and thumbs down for the week.
Thumbs up. Well, we talked about in the first segment on the first hour, Scott, we touched on Brimley basketball and also St. Ignace Saints. And, of course, we have a lot of great local talent here for, the varsity basketball. But I'm going to just, give my thumbs up to both the Brimley boys basketball team and the Lady Saints, because they're both undefeated.
Yeah.
And Brimley, 15 minutes away from us. St. Ignace, 45 minutes away from us. I mean, I'm just so proud, to be a part of this community where, me growing up loving basketball and, them continuing on the tradition over there in St. Ignace and, the Brimley Bays coming together. Just so much fun to watch them. And I'm just really happy and excited, to see how far they go this season. And then as for my thumbs down, we kind of did, I think we talked about it off the mic more so, but the Detroit Pistons and just the lack of, care, effort. I haven't been able to watch as many Pistons games as I usually do. I usually try to watch every single one on TV, but, with my schedule, calling some of the basketball games, once or twice a week, I haven't gotten a chance to, but I did watch one. And it's just ridiculous. And then with Reggie Jackson being so careless and Blake Griffin, in the middle of his interview, after a loss.
Yeah,
you can't be doing any funny business after a loss. It'd be different if you won something. But,
no pies in the face after you lost, 15 out of 20.
Especially Blake Griffin being he's a huge leader, and that's what his job is, and he wants to set that example. And Reggie being there before him, I know he's not Blake Griffin caliber, but he should be a leader for the Detroit Pistons too. He's been there for a long time and he should know better, and it was just not a great performance, and just thumbs down for them. And I feel bad for them, but at the same time, Dwayne Casey needs to put his foot down and figure something out, because I guess it's too soon to tell, but at least Stan Van Gundy, he was always at them, yelling at them, hey, you need to do this, even after a win, they did this well, but there's all these things that they didn't do well, and I feel Dwayne Casey's a little too nice. So they should be doing a lot better than what they're doing right now.
Sometimes you need the bad guy to put his foot down.
Exactly.
Or girl. Dave McCaig, he's not a bad guy. He's a good guy. Thumbs up and thumbs down for the week, sir.
The local hockey thing, Scott, that still blows my mind. It's the worst here in Sault Ste. It's bad everywhere, it seems. There's a lot of these articles in Northern Ontario that the ref got abused earlier last week with, after the game. I couldn't agree more with your thumbs down. I want to stick to that thumbs down. If I can tag off that with you, it's just the local hockey parents in general. Okay, I'm going to go that route, that the parents are getting worse, and they know the whole game is for your son to be or daughter to be a part of it and to grow as a person, and not just to expect them to go to the National Hockey League or the Women's National Hockey League. Okay, it's not the way that's going to be. I just want to say thumbs down to all the hockey parents out there who overreact and push their kids, that live their dreams in their own eyes instead of going through their own kids, and also giving credit to the referee. Okay, the refs there doing their job. They're getting paid to be there, sometimes volunteering in the younger leagues. So you know what? We got to give them some slack. So I want to stick to that in whole general, as there's been lots of reports in the news through CTV for the past couple weeks in terms of local hockey, in terms of referee abuse, and also just fans overreacting. It's an absolute joke. So that's my one thing. I'll agree with you on that, Scotty, as I really didn't have a thumbs down before that, but when you said that to me, it triggered a reminder. So that'll be mine. My thumbs up, I want to go for a thumbs up to Kyle Dubas to finally pulling the trigger on a trade and making a good move in Toronto. I feel that Muslin's going to be a great fit. And also a guy that I've gotten to know well when he had his time here with the Hounds and training with him with Mike Cowan. It's going to be very exciting to see him in the blue and white. And, you know, I feel that he's going to be a very good addition to that blue line that needed defense. And I still think they're one more defenseman away, but Dubas is getting the job done. And I think this was a good move and a good start for Toronto to get a little bit more excited if you're a Leaf fan.
Butch Davis, will go to you for your thumbs up and thumbs down for the week, sir.
Oh, boy. Thumbs up for Naomi Osaka, who came in there and did part 2 of the Grand Slam of Intelligence that we know and love there. She played magnificent tennis throughout the week and a half in Australia there, so I give her my thumbs up there. Thumbs down go to the Pistons. And especially when they did an interview, good friend and buddy was on the telly interviewing there. And when Reggie Jackson came up there and showed his face and showed his rear end there, I just couldn't take it any longer there. The Pistons don't have my respect at all. Again, we need Mr. Casey to act like Jim Leland. Yep. And come in there and clean the place out. Let them know if you don't want to be there, I got room to throw you out in the street, and let it be that. Pay them off. Let them go where they want to go. Let them do what they want to do. But basically, the fans deserve better than what they're receiving from the Detroit Pistons. You cannot BS the fans. I always said that, and I always will. And right now, the Pistons are doing just that, BS the fans. And right now, they're not worse than the Detroit Lions, but they're getting there. And I'm quite sure they don't want to get any closer to that. So they better do something now, quick, fast, and a hurry. And they can't do that there.
Let's go around the table before we end this show. I'll be out in Brimley, weather permitting, tomorrow for girls basketball as Cedarville will take on the Brimley Bays. Katie, you and Todd will be going out there Thursday. Brimley taking on Rudyard in girls basketball. What else is going on in your world and your week?
Well, the world of sales. Friday, I had a really good day, Scott. I kind of got lucky. I always say I get lucky. That's just how I feel about it. But, you know, I got lucky, got 2 sales in one day. Wow. It doesn't happen often, and it's just a good month of January so far. And, you know, it's kind of surprising because for selling advertising, you don't think that many people would want to be on board, you know, coming out of the holiday. Sure. And they kind of want to wind down.
And this weather making people so cheerful.
Yeah. You know, people don't want to drive around and go to businesses. So I was pretty happy about that. So I guess that's, you know, what's going around here for me.
Katie will be listening Thursday night to the game, and we'll talk to you here in a couple weeks, about 3 weeks, actually, for our next edition here at the Wicked Sister.
Yes, thanks for having me, Scott. I look forward to it.
Dave McCaig, I know you got a lot lined up on your side of the border as far as the game sports show. You're going to fill the void along with Butch as I take a 2-week vacation coming up for work. Give us a snapshot of what's coming up this week on your shows.
Well, tomorrow, which will be Tuesday, we're going to be at Icebreakers. Again, we had another rescheduling just due to the coverage here with local hockey in town. We wanted to ensure all the games are finished when we did our local updates. So myself, Brad Cochimilio, hopefully be there on location tomorrow, along with Jamie Antonello And Core Colts hockey coach will also be on there by as well. Coach Arbor will be on by for a little guest to do some local hockey discussion about high school hockey and kind of how it's changed and the potential improvements. And we're going to get to some update on how the teams are doing and everything. But we're also going to talk about how the game has changed in terms of high school hockey, especially here in the Sioux, and how they are reacting to it are the schools. So it'll be good to have Coach Arbor there come on by. That'll be tomorrow at Icebreakers. Wednesday, we'll be at Sports Center Bar and Grill. It'll be the Super Bowl preview show for In the Pocket, myself, Jamie Antonello, and crew. And as I said at the top of this hour, mid of this hour, I should say, because that's when I joined, Nathan Intercontinental Inch will be coming on by to discuss WWE Royal Rumble and his pretend washed up wrestling character that he's going to have fun and bring on a presence there at Sports Center. Then Thursday we'll be at Northern Superior Brewing Company. That will be at 7:15 this week. Myself, Justin, and Dane, and we're going to be on by there. We don't have a guest finalized yet, but we're hoping to have Jared Burton come on by for that. So we have an action-packed week with that. Then obviously we're back to the usual rotation on Sunday at Icebreakers at approximately 7:30 this upcoming weekend as well. So lots of good, exciting shows and content coming up for sure. It's definitely going to keep myself and you busy, Scotty, on the board op end.
Dave, we appreciate you coming in and joining us. And again, you can find Dave's shows at thegamesportshow.com or the gamesportshow.podbean.com. Butch, we know you got to heal up from some medical procedures down in the Detroit area. We're wishing you the best in your recovery. Anything going on in your week, or are you just going to try to relax and recuperate?
Relax. Well, I got a chance to relax there. You don't get too many opportunities to relax, but hopefully get some time in and see some friends. Just watch some TV. The old soap opera days, as they used to.
Yes.
Where you sit home and watch anything and everything.
Butch, appreciate you joining us. Rest up, my friend. Get your health in order, and we'll be back here in 3 weeks at the Wicked Sister. Hopefully you can join us then.
Sure. Thank you.
All right. Once again, we're going to be off a couple weeks due to my work schedule. I'm going to be down in Greenville, South Carolina for a 2-week training for my full-time job, but Butch will have some shows. You can find it at Simply Butch 2. That's TOO.podomatic.com or on this webpage, thegamesportshow.com, along with Dave's shows. We'll have our Brimley Bay's basketball coverage and more. So we will be back here at the Wicked Sister on President's Day, Monday, February 18th, for our next edition of the game here on Eagle 95.1.